Now let's move on to the story. This was tweeted out by Jeff Hauser, and he says, a hugely important story from ProPublica. The Treasury is overseeing the Federal Reserve via an official, Justin Munich, who is a walking and talking conflict of interest. Now, Dylan, explain to people, this has to do with when they passed the CARES Act and they gave the $500 billion that they could give right to big business, but then there's a multiplier on that, meaning that the Fed can now bump that up 10 times, which brings us up to $5 trillion, which the Fed gives to the richest people. And the person overseeing that transfer of wealth is a guy named Justin Munich, and he's a walking, talking conflict of interest. So go ahead. Tell us what the conflict of interest is, Dylan.
I mean, I sent that to you, Jimmy, just to give you a window. It's sort of, because these institutions are so big and because the dollar values are so big and because the fundamental impact on society is so large, you like to think that there are these sort of large groups of, highly visible, transparent organizations and processes that are allocating these resources.
Right.
And so this is just a really, I think, insightful anecdote to illustrate how much that's not the case, where it's actually, at least according to the ProPublica reporting, a huge percentage of that work overall and those decisions as to who gets the money and where the money goes and all the things is residing with a single individual.
One guy.
Think about how busy your day is, whoever you may be. And, and then not only is it a single individual, but it's a single individual who's rife with conflict of interest. I mean, it is part of the ongoing degradation. I mean, it is tragic, honestly. It's an American tragedy.
So
that's another little piece of it.
So let me just go over it real quick. This is from ProPublica. It says, this Treasury official is running the bailout. It's been great for his family. Deputy Treasury Secretary Justin Munich has an increasingly prominent role. He still has ties to his family's investment firm, which is a major beneficiary of the Treasury's bailout actions. Okay. So Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin have become the public faces of the $3 trillion federal coronavirus bailout. Behind the scenes, however, the Treasury's responsibilities have fallen largely to the 42-year-old Deputy Secretary Justin Munich, a major beneficiary of that bailout. So far, guess who? Munich and Company, the asset manager founded by his father, where Justin served as president before joining the administration. He reportedly owns a stake worth at least $60 million when he entered government in 2012. But he gave all his shares, he gave it to his father for nothing. So that's supposed to take away his conflict of interest. Today, Munich retains financial ties to the firm through an opaque transaction in which he transfers his shares of his privately company to his father. Ethics experts say the arrangement is troubling because his father received the shares for no money up front, and it appears possible that Munich can simply get his stake back after leaving government. Munich and Company has long specialized in precisely this market. So the market that the money that he's overseeing is the market that he's been working in, his father's company, his whole life. He's managing you know how much money this guy's hedge fund is? He's managing $38 billion of clients' money, including a riskier instrument known as junk or high yield bonds. What are junk bonds, Dylan?
Junk bonds are just like a bond is a loan, right? It's just another form of a loan. An investment grade bond is a bond that has good collateral that it's a loan somebody's likely to pay back, and a junk bond is a loan with little or no collateral that somebody is less likely to pay back, that's used for riskier ventures and pays a higher interest rate.
So it's kind of like the business version of a subprime mortgage where you have to pay more in interest.
Exactly.
Because you have a lower credit score, so you have to pay more and all
exactly.
that. And that's what a junk bond is. But the bank makes more money if you pay, and they know a certain amount of people are going to default on the junk, but enough people will pay it that they'll make money because that's okay. So that's what a junk bond is. Okay.
Yeah.
Since the Fed and the Treasury's actions in late March, the bond market has roared back. Musinic and Company has reversed billions in losses. According to a review of its holdings, with 28 of the 29 funds tracked by the investor research service Morningstar Direct rising in that period. So here we are with the guy who's tapped by Trump and to oversee the disbursement of trillions of dollars, and the market that this money is aimed at is the market this guy's business is involved in, and his company was hemorrhaging billions in losses, and now that he's in charge of the money, his company's making billions in profits. So it's kind of this is like a banana republic. This is the kind of shit people pretend Putin does and we don't. So that again, this is more reason why we have violence in the streets. We have a complete corrupted government that does not represent you. In fact, they work against you. It's incomprehensible, right? It's like it's worse than
it's infuriating. I mean, it is infuriating beyond words, and it has seeded the streets and 140 riots in 140 American cities, unprecedented social unrest. So,
okay, and you have anything to say? Anything else to say about that kind of? I mean, so that'll never be corrected. That'll never be really even investigated. That'll certainly never be prosecuted. They're just. I mean, it was set up so he could do this to just loot the American Treasury and funnel it to their connected friends, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's surely not exclusively to the benefit of his business, but it's surely directly to the benefit of his business because he's directly seeking to benefit that entire marketplace where his business performs.
Right. So, Dylan, wherever the banks take over a country's, it seems their country is headed down fast. Well, how can we take the country back from the banks? And I mean, it's the UK's the same way. I mean, it's the same. I mean, that whole idea of the euro and what they did to Greece, that's all rapacious bankers. It's weird because they just won't play the long game ever. They're always playing the short game, which again is destructive. So do you think we'll ever be able, and how can we take our country back from the banks?
I mean, again, it's all structural, and the necessary prerequisite for that is legislation that simply limits the size of any given bank.
Right. So
right? As soon as you cap bank size, and as soon as you shift the risk incentive for the bank to create value as opposed to extract value, which is a different conversation for a different day. But once you make a smaller bank and force them to make money by helping other people make money,
right,
which can be done and has been done for brief periods of time in different financial ecosystems, whether it's investment partnerships or community lending or these types of things. So it's really just about shifting the structure to a more decentralized and community-aligned architecture, not as a matter of policy, but as a matter of actually seeking returns.
Right. So what you're saying right now, the way banks that really work is they try to create debt. They don't try to create investments. They try to create debt so that they can make derivatives off it. They can sell bets on it. You can sell insurance on it, and you can sell bets on that insurance. So they're not really creating anything except financial instruments to make money off of. They're not investing in businesses. They're not investing in communities. They're not, right? So that's the big problem, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And of course,
you said it as well as I could have.
And of course, the big banks have control of our legislature. So when you have community banks who actually do those things that we want them to do, that banks to do, the big banks can crush them and absorb them. And that happened. There's a lot of that happened in the last financial crisis. Do you see any of that happening now?
I haven't paid close enough attention. I mean, the stranglehold that the large financial institutions have at this point is so well established that it's sort of it is in some ways less disruptive because it's now so large and absolute.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
It's
Well,
not value creating. It's the reason no new businesses are formed in this country. New business formations at an all-time low. All these most fundamental sort of vital signs for creativity and opportunity and economy, which are really shown by things like the rate of new business formation, have been in a staggeringly low condition for a very long time now. And part of the reason for that is because there is not an incentive for the seeding and creation of new enterprises inside of the investment world or the financial universe. And those new business formations are where so many of the new jobs are created. You hear politicians say, oh, small businesses are the heart of job creation in America, which is actually a lie. It's that new businesses, I think we've had this conversation before, but new businesses are the heart of creation, and most new businesses tend to be small. So, and the key for new business formation is small amounts of working capital and high levels of engagement from the community to help the principals who are trying to form that business succeed. So, if you have small amounts of money and lots of expertise and attention, you have a higher probability of creating more value faster. Right now, there's very little or none of that expertise and attention available to most people, and even less money.
Got you. All right. Well, Dylan Radigan, it's been a real pleasure, fun time today.
That's not true. That's not even true. That was a false statement.
False.
I'm going to charge you with issuing false statements.
I don't.
In a comedy show.
I almost don't even want. I just feel exhausted now all the time because of what's happening. Like I don't. It's like you don't ever like after the show. I don't like unplug and then go watch a movie or go play basketball or go do a comedy show or go. It's just constant. I'm watching the violence, constant. It just and then I went
because it was so visibly. It's even more frustrating when. This was something that
we
was
predicted
visible miles away, miles and miles away.
Yeah, that's what makes it so frustrating. And the fact, and at every turn, the people who are supposed to be standing up aren't. It's just great. It's what happening is it's just amazing. And I can of course.
Well, the opportunity now is for grace and clear demands.
So do you
be where we are?
And I know you're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor either. I'm not even a virologist. But I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction that there will be a coronavirus spike in America in 2 weeks.
You would think the riots would be good for more coronavirus transmission.
You would think one person, if they could probably go and infect 10 people. Wow. If you only need a couple of people and it's all over. So. Anyway, all right.
Grace and clear demands, Jimmy. Grace and clear demands.
Grace and
be where we are.
Grace and clear demands. Dylan's weekly podcast is on Tasty Trade. It's called Truth or Skepticism, and it's with Tom Sosnoff. And go check it out. Dylan, thank you so much for being our guest.
The pleasure as always, James. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right. Peace. All right, bye.
Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?